Hello there, and welcome to Calypso Song Sounds. My name is Corinne. Today I'm presenting to you my favorite video game. It's called World of Warcraft. It's a little bit of a different video. It's not a gameplay video. It's not even really a video that is centered around how you play WoW, and even like menial tasks like profession work. Today, we're just going to hop on our dragon, soar through the air, enjoy the night sky, listen to the breeze, and to listen to some lore centered around the current expansion called Dragonflight. This is easily my favorite expansion since Wrath of the Lich King. I've been a WoW loyalist essentially nearly from the beginning. I've had a couple of hiatuses here and there, but Dragonflight really outdid the rest. So, sit back and relax. Enjoy the ambience of this beautiful continent called the Dragon Isles. Enjoy the serenity. And I'm going to read through the lore, so far, the storyline of Dragonflight. I am getting my source from a WoW fandom, a WoW fandom source, a website, which I will provide the link for in the description box. I think that the writing for this is actually fairly well done, so here is the beginning of Dragonflight lore. The rise of the aspects. When the Titans were ordering Azeroth, they needed a more delicate hand to combat the agents of the old gods. Due to their colossal forms, Agramar feared the Pantheon would irreparably damage or even kill the world's soul. He proposed creating powerful constructs to act as Pantheon's hands and prosecute their will against the Black Empire. The Pantheon members imbued their servants with their specific likenesses and powers to lead the rest of the Titan Forge. So if you think of Pantheon and Titans, they're essentially like the gods of Azeroth, the leaders, the creators. They called these empowered beings keepers. One Titan, Agramar, imparted his strength and courage to the keeper Tyr, who would become the greatest warrior of the Titan Forged. In time, the keepers led the Titan Forged against the armies of the Black Empire. Titans are a race of majestic planet-sized cosmic beings made up of the order magic and the primordial matter from which the universe was born. In the far north of ancient Kalimdor, the proto-dragon Galakrond had been the largest and most effective predator. Eventually, he would succumb to corruption and begin to devour his own kind. So in World of Warcraft lore, proto-dragons are one of the most unhinged and dangerous of dragons. Tyr, the keeper from earlier, knew that if Galakrond remained unchecked, he would devour all nature, spreading his affliction to the far corners of Azeroth. He warned his fellow keepers of what he had seen, but they wouldn't act. So he searched by himself a means to destroy the giant proto-dragon and his feated minions. The answer lay with 5 of the greatest and most intelligent proto-dragons: Alexstrasza, Malygos, Neltharion, Nosdormu, and Ysera. Impressed with how they worked together to survive Galakrond's attacks, Tyr reached out to Malygos. Under Tyr's guidance, the proto-dragons warred with Galakrond. I have watched you. I have watched the others. I see much potential in you and these friends of yours, and I say that as someone who has watched many of your kind since the first of you began to stir towards self-consciousness. Tyr. Tyr requested that these 5 proto-dragons be imbued with power to guard Azeroth's lands. Keeper Odin challenged the idea. Despite their heroism, Odin only saw the dragons as primitive life forms. He felt that only the mighty Titan forged could be trusted to protect the world. The other keepers were not as easily swayed by Odin, and the proto-dragons were transformed into the aspects, leaders of the Dragonflights and guardians of Azeroth. Odin, believing the dragons would fail, left to build his own group of warriors, the Valazjar. And a little bit of a side note, the Valazjar, they're kind of based on like Nordic lore, kind of like Vikings. Alexstrasza, the Lifebinder, also known as the Dragon Queen, an aspect of the Red Dragonflight. Alexstrasza was empowered by Eonar to act as guardian of all life. As Dragon Queen, Alexstrasza served as the leader of the aspects, bringing them together in great times of need. In order to defeat Deathwing, Alexstrasza and the rest of the aspects sacrificed much of their power. Nozdormu, also known as the Timeless One, Guardian of Time, Murozond, aspect of the Bronze Dragonflight. Nozdormu was empowered by Amenthul to safeguard time itself and police the ever-spinning pathways of fate and destiny. When Deathwing was defeated, Nozdormu lost much of his power, along with the rest of the aspects. Nozdormu foresaw his eventual fall to corruption, becoming the leader of the infinite Dragonflight. As Murozond, the future self, ultimately fell to adventurers in the end time. Okay, next is Neltharion, the Earth Warder, aspect of the Black Dragonflight. After being driven mad by the old gods, he took the name Deathwing the Destroyer. Failing his goal to enslave the other dragonflights, he aimed to bring about the Hour of Twilight, the unmaking of all creation. Though he possessed the power to shatter the world, in the end, he fought alone, facing his fellow aspects and their allies. He fell from the skies into the maelstrom, destroyed by the dragon soul and the champions of Azeroth. Malygos, aspect of magic, aspect of the blue dragonflight. He was empowered with the essence of Norgannon to serve as the guardian of magic and hidden arcanum. Malygos and his mate, Sindragosa, ruled the blue dragonflight until the War of the Ancients, when the crazed Deathwing used the dragon soul to wipe out most of the flight, leaving only Malygos and precious few eggs left. Malygos was killed after declaring war on all mortal spellcasters in the Nexus War, leaving Kalecgos to lead the blue dragonflight in his wake. Ysera the Dreamer, also known as the Awakened, an aspect of the green dragonflight. Alexstrasza's younger sister, Ysera, was chosen also by Eonar to watch over the growing wilds of the world from the Emerald Dream. Ysera fell to the Nightmare in Legion, and was put to rest by Tyrande Whisperwind. Her soul arrived in the afterlife called Ardenweald, where she was restored by the intervention of the Winter Queen. Ysera's essence remains bound to the Shadowlands, leaving her daughter, Marithra, to guide the green Dragonflight. Okay. Tears of Sacrifice. Loken, a keeper falling to an old god's influence, began working toward the downfall of the other keepers. Tyr suspected darkness was growing within the fallen keeper, and so he and his companions stole the discs of Norgannon to preserve the vital knowledge they contained. When Loken discovered the discs were missing, he turned to the only creatures he knew were powerful enough to stop the mighty Tyr: ancient Sithraxi monstrosities. He ordered the colossal abominations to kill Tyr and all who followed him. Far to the south, the Sithraxi overtook the fleeing keepers and their followers in a tranquil and temperate glade. Fearing for his allies' lives, Tyr ordered Arcadus and Ironia to lead the rest of the Titan Forged further south. Meanwhile, he would hold off the Sithraxi for as long as possible. The violent struggle between the Lone Keeper and the Sithraxi raged for 6 days and nights. As fatigue set in, Tyr resolved to sacrifice himself to protect his friends. He unleashed his remaining power on the Sithraxi, expending his life force in a blinding explosion of arcane energy that shook the world to the core. Arcadus and Ironia watched as the eruption of magic flared across the horizon. After the volatile energy subsided, the two Titan Forged returned to the site of the battle. Within a giant crater crackling with arcane magic, there lay Tyr's lifeless body. In honor of her fallen comrade, Ironia named the glade surrounding the crater Tyr's Fall, which in the Vrykul tongue translated to Tyr's Fall. She and her followers buried Tyr where he lay and placed Tyr's massive silver hand atop his final resting place to memorialize his valiant sacrifice. The sting of betrayal. With the fall of Tyr, the aspects were blinded to the darkness slowly growing within their midst. The tendrils of old gods' corruption had tightened the hold on Neltharion the Earth Warder. With the guidance of the old gods, Neltharion would devise a way to enslave the other dragonflights to usher forth the hour of twilight and the unmaking of all creation. The moment when the old gods could finally be free from their imprisonment, but he needed help. When the armies of the Burning Legion began an invasion of Azeroth, Neltharion suggested creating a magical artifact to aid in destroying the demons. He asked the other aspects to help craft it. Each aspect would contribute a portion of their essence to the artifact. Neltharion brought the dragon soul to bear against the Legion, devastating the demonic swarm. But in his corruption, Neltharion, once the Earth Warder and protector of Azeroth, became Deathwing, the Destroyer. He would shock his fellow aspects as he turned the dragon soul against him. His betrayal cut deep as he turned on his own kind. The shocked dragons were helpless to resist the power of the deadly artifact, for it contained a fraction of each of their essences. All the dragonflights, save the black dragonflight, were paralyzed. But Deathwing's doom would eventually come. Wormrest Temple was the final hope for the forces allied against Deathwing the Destroyer. Here, the remaining aspects, Alexstrasza, Ysera, Nosdormu, and Kalikos, along with their ally Thrall, would gather to empower the Dragon Soul, Azeroth's last chance to stop the great behemoth. But as they began to charge the Dragon Soul with energy, Deathwing and his entire army assaulted Wormrest Temple. Eventually, with the help of allies, the remaining aspects would sunder Deathwing, and he would fall from the skies into the maelstrom. The aftermath. In the coming years, the pain of Neltharion's betrayal would cut deeper than any could imagine. His betrayal was so destructive that the 5 Dragonflights never truly recovered. The flights were left listless and could no longer protect Azeroth, and the blue Dragonflight was all but destroyed. Their sacrifice was apparent as they were now made mortal. The birth of the dracthyr. The dracthyr were created in the ancient past by Neltharion the Earth Warder to serve as soldiers. He combined the essence of dragons with the adaptability of the mortal races. They would train off the coast of the Dragon Isles on an island known as the Forbidden Reach. After a terrible battle, the island would lie abandoned until an ancient enemy awakens the fiercest of warriors, unlike any Azeroth the world has seen. Eyes on the horizon. After returning to the Dragon Isles, Queen Alexstrasza has learned of another disk locked away within Uldaman, one that holds the memories of Tyr himself. Believing this knowledge is needed to restore the power of the aspects, Alexstrasza has asked her mortal allies to brave the perils of Uldaman and recover Tyr's memories to secure the future of dragonkind. However, there are others among dragonkind that do not want Alexstrasza's plans to succeed. The story continues in World of Warcraft Dragonflight, and Azeroth's heroes must heed the call to aid Alexstrasza in rebuilding the kingdom and reclaiming the legacy of the dragons. So, that is the final bit of Dragonflight lore. I hope that you enjoyed just these tidbits of information about this game. And if you don't play World of Warcraft or anything and you don't fully follow, at least I hope this was a relaxing and sleep-inducing video. Thank you again for stopping by and listening and enjoying, and I hope that I see you in the next video very soon. Rest well. Goodbye.